Hi, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Spilling the Tea with Shalita Marie. I am very excited today to have you guys join in with us. Listen. I want you guys to take a few moments to like and share, because today is truly going to be a great broadcast. We are going to be dealing with mental illness, mental disorders, and this is a special edition for that because so many people in the world are dealing with depression or anxiety, and not just adults, but our children. And so, for a few minutes before we get started, please like and share. Like and share. It's truly going to be a blessing to you on today. All right. So before we get started, one out of four people in the world will be affected by mental or neurological disorders at some point in their lives. Around 450 million people currently suffer from such conditions, placing mental disorders among the leading causes of ill health and disability worldwide. One in six United States youth ages from 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder each year. 50% of all lifetime mental illness begins by the age of 14 and 75% by the age of 24. Listen to those numbers, you guys. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among people between the ages of 10 and 34. In our world today, depression, you guys, and anxiety disorders has cost the global economy 1 trillion in lost productivity each year. Depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide. Listen, you guys, we have a phenomenal panel that we're going to be sharing with you guys today. I have a phenomenal a person that has a testimony that has dealt with domestic violence, that has dealt with molestation. She'll be on shortly. Let me tell you, it's going to be a blessing. Get someone that you know is dealing with internal struggles. I mean, come on, all of us have dealt with those, some type of internal war. And so today I have some well qualified people that are licensed, that are certified to help us today, that are people that's going through depression, anxiety, fear, anger, rage, all of these emotional things that causes us to be stuck, that causes us to have mental disorders. We're not only going to be dealing with adults, but we're going to be dealing with children that have mental disorders. And so I have a couple people on here that I'm very excited to have today. One being I have one person that has been my sister for a while. She's certified. She has a degree in psychology. She's amazing. Then I have, like I said, I have an ortho here that has gone through it. And then I also have listen to this, you guys. I brought on a licensed therapist, a counselor. She's licensed in the off around the surroundings in Chicago. She's from Munster, Indiana, and I am so excited to have her. So let me tell you something. Take advantage of this time, because this is the time that you can bring your questions, things that you may be dealing with, that you will be able to get your answers from a qualified, certified, licensed therapist and counselor. So at this time, I'm not going to prolong the time. I'm going to bring on my first guest, which is Lady Tracy Burton. Let me give you a little background information about Lady Burton. Lady Tracy Alexander Burton comes from a heritage that is rich in spiritual legacy. She's a PK kid, you guys. She is the only daughter of Pastor Lester and Mother Minnie Alexander. She is the perfect picture of a consummate secular and spiritual professional. So she has both backgrounds. She has held various positions in the corporate world and in church as a teacher, trainer, life coach, administrative professional, and operation manager. Currently, Lady Tracy, she works in the education system and in Gwinnett County Public Schools in Gwinnett County, Georgia, Special Education Department. Lady Tracy has earned her bachelor's degree in business administration and also in organizational psychology department. Lady Tracy has certifications in the areas of psychology, in psychology, mindful practices, and developing your emotional intelligence. And the list goes on, you guys. Lady Tracy is noted completely her study at the Charles Harrison Mason Theological Seminary in Atlanta, Georgia, as one of her most significant accomplishments. In 2016, she was elevated in her ministry calling as she received her license as an evangelist missionary in the Church of God in Christ. She is affectionately entreated by those she works with on her job. They love her, you guys. At her church, they love her. And in her community, they absolutely love this woman because of the light of love she exudes. And you'll be able to see that in 1 second. She loves to encourage and provide spiritual comfort to anybody and everybody who is in need and willing to accept. More importantly, she is a saint of God. Lady Tracy works with her husband in ministry as the director of women ministry. She wants everyone to know she loves her family, happily married to her long lifetime sweetheart from her childhood years, Pastor Henry Joseph Burton. 4 children. Lady Tracy and her husband, and Max, which is their dog, is from Chicago, Illinois, but now resides together in Conyers, Georgia. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to give a warm welcome to Lady Tracy Burton. Let's welcome her in. Hey,
God
lady.
bless you.
Hi, God bless you. Welcome, welcome. We
God
are
bless
so
you.
excited to
Thank
have
you
you
so
with us
much.
today. We're excited, and I know that what you're going to be sharing is going to be meaningful, purposeful, is going to be intentional. And so at this time, I'm just going to give you the flow, and I'll come back and ask you a few questions, and we'll see if our audience have questions, and we'll flow just like that. Listen, you guys, like and share. This is our first presenter. Like and share. Take it on, Tracy.
Thank you so much, Shalita. Thank God for each of you that has joined in. Thank God for this platform. It's much needed. I'm here to speak on mental health, mental illness. Mental health includes our emotions, psychological and social well-being. It affects how we think, how we process things, how we act, and it helps us determine how we handle stress, relates to others and our families. Mental health is important at every stage of our life, from childhood to adolescence and throughout our adulthood. Over the course of our lives, if you experience mental health problems, your thinking, your mood, your behavior could be affected. Many factors contribute to mental health problem includes biological factors such as your genes or brain chemistry, life experiences such as trauma or abuse, family history or mental health problems with mental health problems. Mental health problems are common, but help is available. People with mental health problems can get better and may recover sometimes over some of these issues. Some early warning signs that we can look at that can help you: eating or sleeping too much. Sometimes, you can see a person eating or sleeping too much. Check on that person. Pulling away from people in their own little world, having low or no energy, feeling numb, having unexplained aches and pains, feeling helpless or hopeless. Sometimes people get into smoking, drinking, drugs, feeling unusual, confused, forgetful, on edge, always angry, upset about everything, the world, just anything, scared, afraid, yelling or fighting with family and friends, These things are unusual if this is something that continues. Experience severe moves, swings that cause problems in relationships, having persistent through memory loss, or thinking about things in their head that may want to cause harm to themselves. These are some concerns, or harming other people as well. Inability to perform, ability unable to perform your daily routine, daily life, things that we do each and every day. Unable to function in school and work. These are some signs. Mental health are harder to treat if you don't get help early. Let me move on to some of the things that we can talk about with positive health allows people to realize the full potential, cope with the stress of life, and work productively, make meaningful contribution to their community. Those are positive things. Ways to maintain the positive mental health includes getting professional help, connecting with others, stay positive, get physical active, help others, getting enough sleep, developing and coping skills. My emphasis I want to speak on today is children and mental illness. And a lot of this information you can find on the CDC website. And I have other information for references if you need it. Just let me know. There are statistics on children. And that is very sensitive to me because I work with children every day, working in the school system and going to work every day, looking at these babies, and you see sometimes they having struggles in their life and they are just so lovable. But it's a touching situation, but yet there is hope. Mental disorder amongst children are described as serious changes in the way children typically learn, behave, or handle their emotions, causing stress and problem getting through the day. Among more common mental disorder that can be diagnosed in childhood are attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. We know it as ADHD, anxiety, and behavior disorder. Many children exhibit behavior issues at school. Normally, these issues have an explanation. It's the reason why they are having these issues. Although some behavior issues are caused by personalities, conflicts with peers, teachers, inadequate support for a student with special needs is often the root cause of the behavior issue. Some common condition, as I stated, that may result in behavior problem include a social issue. It's hard for them to be social with other peers their age. These are some triggers that you can look at and draw attention to if it's in children that you know or even your own. The developmental delays in some of our children, problems, anxiety, depressed, these things are necessary to draw attention to and get some help for. Fortunately, behavior issues at school can be addressed and improved with the right support. They have to have a good support system, modification, and accommodation. And these things can be done if any parent have any concerns or see any of these things that's going on with their children. It is okay to talk to the teachers, the administrator, and have your children tested so that you can get the right results as they are young and get the proper help that they need. Autism spectrum disorder is called ASD, is a developmental disability. These are the children that we work with every day, and it caused significant social communication and behavioral challenges for them. There's often nothing about how people with ASD look that set them apart from others, but people with ASD may communicate or interact, behave, and learn in ways that are different from other people. The learning, thinking, and problem solving ability of people with ASD, autism, spectrum disorder. ASD can range from gifted to severe challenges. Gifted means they can be very, very, very smart in school, educationally. Some people with ASD need a lot of help in their daily lives. Others need less. Some need a lot, some don't. A diagnosis of ASD now includes several conditions that used to be diagnosed separately: artistic disorder, persuasively developmental disorder, not otherwise specific, but it can be helped. Seek medical attention, seek medical help. Go to your pediatrician, talk to your doctor. If you're seeing something that is unusually going wrong or a slow process with your child in developing, it is good to talk to someone that is experienced and that can help you with the situation medically. Okay, I have some statistics that you will probably see on the screen regarding the different children that has and the ages that has, you know, when they are dealing with depression and anxiety, behavior disorder. In this chart, it shows children 3 to 5. Looking at the depression in the blue, it's kind of low, but when it start happening around 6 to 11, then it rises up pretty high when they get from the age 12 through 17 dealing with depression. Going over to the anxiety, 3 to 5, it's the first column, then 6 to 11, it moves up a little bit higher. Then ages 12 through 17, looking at anxiety is very high. Our children during that time is in middle school. They are doing a lot is going on, a lot that they have to deal with. So the anxiety gets a little higher. And in some cases, looking at the behavior disorder, mainly between the age 6 years of age and 11, you can see the bar is going up, the greenish coloring in 12 through 17. So it's vitally important when you find out that your child, or you can look, you know, and see that there's something going on with your children. Pay attention to your children. I'm a witness. Raising children, when I see anything unusual, oh, we going to the doctor. We gonna pray, but we going to the doctor. Just get checked out to make sure. But I want to encourage you. This is a lot of information and it goes on. It's more to it. But mainly you need to understand, if you see that your child is not developing as the rate that is normal, you need to look into it and seek medical help, whether it's through a therapist or through a medical doctor, just to, catch it at an early age so that they can live their life, as best as possible. Give them the help that they need. Thank you for your time. God bless you.
All right, all right. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful, powerful information, Lady Tracy. I do have a couple questions that I want to ask you. And again, those of you that are on here live with us, if you have any questions to ask, please feel free to ask any questions for Lady Tracy Burton. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask a couple questions, and as you guys are typing, feel free to ask. Continue to share and like. continue to share and like this broadcast. All right. So the first question I have for you, Lady Tracy, is
Mhm.
what advice will you give to mothers that have children with a developmental disorder? How should the mother or the parents take care of themselves, making sure they are emotionally and mentally stable to handle their children every day by maintaining their health? So how what would you tell that parent? Because I know that it can be very challenging, because this isn't something that parents go through. Maybe, say for instance, it's only for somebody may be going through something for just a day or a week or two. This is something some parents have gone through
Mhm.
every day of their life. They have to deal with a child with a developmental disorder. And so, as that parent, what would you tell them to keep them mentally stable and sound? Because it's a lot. It's more than what
It is.
what people are saying or people portray it to be. You're actually, I mean, this is something that can be it could be a lot on the parent mentally and emotionally and physically,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and they're always taking care of that child, running back and forth to therapy, running back and forth to whatever places they go.
That's
So what
right.
would you tell that parent? How can they take care of themselves? What can they do?
Okay, what I would say, and as a parent, you have to just relax and let it flow as it is and take it as it is. Pray to your Heavenly Father and just take one day at a time. It's a whole lot, it's very overwhelming, it can be consuming, but you have to first take care of yourself first
Hmm.
in order to take care of that child, and take it for what it is, and don't be in denial, because that makes you feel drained, sick, worried, concerned, or however you're going to do that naturally. But just try to take one day at a time, and also find people that is like-minded.
Yes,
Find the
yes,
connection. There are uh, a lot of information. There's a lot of support groups that
yes.
you need to follow up with and be a part, 'cause it helps. I hope I answered your question.
Oh yeah, you said something really good. Support groups. That's powerful,
Support
because
group.
a lot of times, as parents, as mothers, fathers, we don't take that time to make
Mhm.
sure we're okay when we're going
That's right.
through, have a child with a mental disorder. And so, you
Mhm.
got to take that time for those support groups. All right, so let me ask you this. All right, remember, ask
Okay.
your questions and don't be embarrassed. This is the time.
Oh,
That's why we having this moment right now for you to ask your questions. Nobody's on here. We're not here to downplay you or to judge you. It's a judgmental
mm-mm.
free zone. We're here to help. And so ask your questions. Now, another
That's
question I
good.
have for you is how can we make
Mhm.
sure, as mothers or as parents, because I don't want to leave the fathers out, because we have some single dads
That's right.
that parent. Okay, so parents having more than one child. We got parents that have more than one child, while having that one child that have a disorder problem. How
Mhm.
can the parents make sure they don't neglect the other children? What can parents do to make sure everyone feels important, everyone feels loved while going through this process? Because a lot of times, when you have a special child, or whether if it's disability, whether if it's a child with a
Mhm.
mental disorder, this whatever that problem or issue is, sometimes we can neglect the other children in the house and not give them the one-on-one that they
Mhm.
need, or that attention that they really need.
Mhm.
And so how can parents while going through this, make sure that the other kids are feeling loved, are feeling a part of the family, and not feeling like someone they giving more attention to them? How can they balance that out? Can you answer that for us?
Yes, I can. I would say to the family that have other children along with the special need child is you must have a family conversation with your whole entire family and explain to your children, not singling the special needs child out or anything, but include everybody and be a team, work together, and let them know to realize that no one is alone. We're in this together and we're going to work this together. I love you all the same. So
Mhm.
I think a lot of that comes from just having that conversation, helping the other children to understand that this is what is happening and we love each other equally.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. So don't forget to ask your questions. The next question I have for you is
Mhm.
sometimes parents would just send their children to school or therapy counseling. They'll just send them to get the help that they need. Would you advise the parents to also get therapy counseling so that they can get a better understanding of what that child is going through?
Yes, ma'am. Because it's a lot for the parent too, and there's a lot of parenting classes, a lot of books, children books. There's a lot of things online, like I said before, support groups. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of training for parents that
Mhm.
can give you the first initial steps of what's going on to help
Mhm.
you throughout. So basically, you just need that support and educate yourself. I
Mhm.
think that would be good.
Okay, all right. And then my last question for you is, well, and then if you guys have questions, come on through. But my last question for you is, how can we, how can we be proactive as parents of our children, in as far as with them not developing a mental disorder? Is there a way to prevent this from happening? I do know some things can come through a gene. I understand that, but
Mhm.
some things are learned. Some things, can you give us a better understanding on, as a parent, how can we be more proactive in helping our children not to develop this mental disorder? What are some of the things that we need to do to make sure we're doing?
I would say these are good questions, and there's so much more that can be said with it. I would say being proactive as parents to try, it's something that you can't really protect your children from. Like you said, that it is genetic, but sometimes when it's early on detected,
Hmm.
that, with whatever therapy, medication, whatever they need, don't overlook it. You have to deal with it. You have to deal with the situation to improve whatever is going on with them. A lot of things, we all know is genetic, but, we don't have to accept that. We can
Hmm.
move, past that and get the help your child needs, as well as, I was intending to say this before, in relation to school. If you see something going on with your child and you need to bring it to the teacher's attention so
Hmm.
that they can test the kids at school as well. They
Hmm.
can't diagnose your children, but they can test your children to find out, is there a learning disability? Is there
Hmm.
something behavior? Are they EBD? That means emotional behavior disorder. Are they, having all these type of issues? And there are programs for them. There
Hmm.
are specialized education program for them that is kids to help them through their process.
All right, all right. I think we have a question. Yes, we do. From Gloria Brown. She says, "Will traumatic experiences help to cause this?" That's a good question. Thank you.
Good question. Yes, traumatic. Yes, traumatic experiences. Sometimes drug and alcohol. Sometimes abuse. I said that early on. Yes, all those things can cause things to happen. And normally, in some cases, like what if the parent had some mental issues or something going on, it kind of trickles down to your children, depending on what parent, where it came from, or her parent, his parent, or whatever. But yes, traumatic experiences is very important, and a lot of that does stems from coming into play with mental illness.
Okay. All right. We have any more questions? Thank you for that. Thank you, because this is so needed. And parents don't, this is a thing that sometimes, Lady Tracy, we can be embarrassed.
Yeah,
Sometimes parents, we
thank
can
you.
be embarrassed. And then you know what? Another thing is that we can be in denial. We can be in
Yeah,
denial about our babies needing the help that they need. And the thing is, we don't want parents, listen to me, mother, father, whoever
yes,
you are that's listening, that's watching now or even later, let me tell you something. Don't be embarrassed to get your
no,
child the help
no,
that they need, because let me tell you
that's
something.
right.
The older they get, the worse off they'll become. And so it's best to do it now, while you may be seeing different triggers. And like Lady Tracy had in the beginning of her presentation, you can go back and watch this, and she named some triggers, some things that you can watch out for. And so watch out for them things. Sometimes people think their kids are so bad, but not, real bad. And they not understanding that there's an
That's right.
issue
It's an
underlying,
issue.
and it needs to be taken care of. And because it affects them in their learning, it affects them in the
Exactly.
classroom and different things like that. And so thank you so much, sis, for your time and for this presentation. Did you have anything else that you want to share with the people that you think we need to take a takeoff with us? If so, this is now for you to share before we bring on my next guest for today.
Yes, just one last thing I want to share with the people is that, as I mentioned early on, yes, do not, and you mentioned too as well, do not be embarrassed. Do not be ashamed. And every time someone says something negative about your child, um, don't take it too personal that you get offended and
Mm,
don't take care of the situation. Be aware of yourself and be aware of what's going on with your children. Because we, like you said, we love our babies. And not necessarily all the time. Let me just say this because I see it in the school system. Not
mhm,
necessarily, don't be so quick to put them on medication so fast
mhm,
unless it
mhm.
is like
Yes,
the last result, because a lot of
yes,
that stuff is, it makes the situation worse. You're not going to tell me about my kid need medication and you're not a doctor, or whatever. But don't put them on all that stuff because sometimes it's not really necessary. They just need that support, that would help
right,
them.
right, right. Right. Thank you for that. Thank you. Those of you that wants to know more about Tracy, you can go on her Facebook page and you can follow her on there. She's an amazing person that you can contact with as far as with for your child that have disability problems. Or she, like I said, we explained to you her expertise, and you can go back and watch this, and feel free to reach out to her. She's always willing to serve and help whoever she's able to help. Her and her husband is doing an amazing job in Conyers, Georgia, in ministry, as well as she's an amazing woman in the marketplace. And so at this time, thank you so much, sis, for joining us. We'll bring you back on later, and I'm going to go ahead and bring my next guest on. All right. All right.
Thank
So,
you.
hey, I am excited about my next guest that's coming on um, for this broadcast. The next guest I have will be one of our therapists. She's a therapist, she's a counselor, she's licensed. Her name is Radmila Sazik. She is from Clarity Clinic, which is located in Munster, Illinois. Radmila is a licensed mental health counselor who specializes in addiction, mood, anxiety disorders, domestic violence, as well as those other struggles that have struggles with trauma, grief, loss. I mean, this woman, she's a plethora of, she's a library that God has really given her to have an expertise in dealing with mental disorders and health. And so at this time, I'm going to bring her on. Hi, Red.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so
Thank you for
happy
having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on and be a part of this panel. I just want the people to pull, ask all of your questions, and because so many things is going on, even right now during the pandemic, people are in fear, depression, anxiety. I mean, so much, and some people have been in it for a long time, but during this pandemic, it has made it worse. And so I'm just happy to have you at this time with us so that you can bring clarity and bring inner healing that can happen. So at this time, I'm giving you the floor. I'll come back once you're done. Thank you again for joining us. Welcome, Red, you guys.
Thank you so much, Shalita. I'm so pleased to be with you here this morning. Um, and I just want to say, wow, following in the footsteps of Lady Tracy, I mean, that was really quite informative. That was really, really a good discussion. I enjoyed that very much. Really well done. I just want to say I'm a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Indiana. So anything that I share or talk about is really based on research that has been done by others. And is not to replace or give advice about anything, but to seek your own licensed professional in your state for any for processing any of your own issues. So I just wanted to make that clear. So one of the things I talked about with Shalita was, you know, that mental health is often seen as a stigma, that it's shameful, that it's for crazy people. Or maybe we have images of people being locked up in a padded room or wearing, you know, restrictive, uh, you know, clothing. And so really the reality is that in many instances, trauma will enact the fight flight response, which is a normal and healthy response to danger. So when there is trauma, that fight flight response is enacted, and it's really to give us strength and to give us speed to our bodies so that we're able to either run away or fight off a foe. You know, so that we are protected, so we're not attacked, so we're not injured. And that's really the purpose of it. If we're repeatedly being put into a fight flight mode, so like Lady Tracy was saying, how trauma or abuse can cause these mood disorders, that being repeatedly put into fight flight mode leads to feelings of anxiety. So, anxiety is really a fear that something is about to happen that can potentially damage us, damage our bodies, hurt us, injure us in some way. So, if we're being triggered in an environment that reminds us of a prior situation in which we were attacked in some way, then anticipating being attacked or being in an environment that triggers that similar memory, that fear goes into effect, and then we experience that and call it anxiety. Over a long period of time, if we it keeps being enacted, but it's in response to maybe just a trigger that's really a benign, it's not actually dangerous, that we become kind of chronically in a fight flight mode. And, eventually that becomes exhausting and depressing. So, so fear is anxiety is often fear of the future. It's anticipating something awful is going to happen. Good exercise. So overcoming that is there's various ways to deal with anxiety. Also, depression is often the regret of something that's happened in the past. It's revisiting the past, having memories that are very difficult. So we're actually being traumatized by our own memories. So overcoming anxiety and depression are all those ways that we know how to take good care of ourselves. Doing relaxing activities, exercise to burn off those chemicals, because actually the fight flight response is hormones that give us that energy, and so we need to burn that off. We need to metabolize it with exercise. So doing some sort of cardio, even taking a walk, can help with burning off those chemicals. Good nutrition, providing good nutrition to our body, to our brain. Waking up at the same time every day. That can alleviate a lot of sleep problems. If you're waking up at the same time every morning, you will naturally go to sleep or be tired at a time that will work with that time that you're getting up. So take a class that you enjoy, join a club, get connected with others, develop relationships. Those are so vital for our mental health, to have a support system. Um, in communicating with others, the I statement that you learn often in therapy is teaching others how to treat you. Saying when you said that, when you did that, exactly in the moment that it happens, you're giving immediate feedback and teaching the person how to treat you. Um, so one of the things that you can learn in therapy as well is about recognizing when you're in an abusive relationship. That can be a friendship, it can be a parent, it can be a romantic partner. That when you're using an I statement, you're giving somebody feedback that they respond with anger, or they respond with hurt. So they've hurt your feelings, but now they're hurt that you would say something. How dare you? And so that's what an abuser might do. Or being indifferent, not really caring about your feelings or minimizing what you're experiencing, taking advantage of you in any way. Those are all sort of red flags for not a good support system. Keep looking. Um, in terms of family, um, the goal is to teach our children, to provide leadership, modeling, that we are in service in helping that next generation. We're providing education to our children. One of the things I always tell my clients is, if you are, if you, as you're thinking about a child as they're learning and going through life, that sometimes not telling them what to do, but telling them what not to do would be like you get a new job and you are trained on everything you should not do. Never talk to this person. Don't flip the paper over this way. Don't ever move this item. Never dial these numbers. You would not know what to do and you'd be a nervous wreck. And so if we're just telling our children what not to do, we're kind of making them a nervous wreck. And they have to try to do that difficult task of trying to figure out what to do right. And so children need direction just like we would need direction in any new experiences. We're being trained. We need that direction for what we can do to feel like we're competent and we are confident in what we're doing. And so we give our children confidence when we give them that direction and teach them. The tone, so in communicating, right? Just like any good trainer at a position, at any job, the tone of voice that you use, your body language, the volume of our voice. These are we can modulate and we have control over that so that we are like that good teacher to our children and developing even a strong relationship with our children of trust and maintaining a good relationship for the future. So, some ways to be closer with our children is to explore nature, take walks together, color together, do some activities, create family traditions. Um, Parents need to have each other's back. They need to be a united front for their children. Um, when a parenting becomes a popularity contest, it is not good for the relationship, not good for the parents. It's not good for the children. We're not modeling then appropriate behavior for the child. That the child will go on and have dysfunctional relationships themselves. So it's not just the generation that we're in, but for future generations and even our children's children, that we don't have to do all the work. We don't have to do everything perfectly, and we're not probably going to, but we can set them up to maybe do their part. Um, what if they think they can do it themselves with attitude? Thank you, Tammy. So kids have an attitude and they think they know everything. Of course. But kids are like little sponges. So when we are creating this good relationship of modeling good communication with them, that sometimes if we get attitude, that can be a power struggle that they are engaged in with you. And so what can you do with that is communicate through that. Let them know how they are how you are experiencing that. Sometimes actually, when you do see that power struggle or a child that is really um, oppositional, that it could be that the parents are not really a united front. Most of the time, when I see a child that's oppositional, one parent is really easygoing and the other parent is really strict. And so the child gets kind of confused and all that and becomes disrespectful. So I don't know, Tammy, if that answers your question. Please let me know. Um, anyway, so creating that united front where both parents back each other up, um, figure out the parenting stuff and work together is so helpful for the kids. So one way to help our children learn how to make good decisions is to give them choices. Saying things like, you can um, go to sleep later, but you may have trouble waking up in the morning, and I may not be able to make breakfast for you. But it's your choice, and let them decide. And often when we let our children decide, we'll be so surprised by the good decisions that they do make. So we're trying to teach our children as they're kind of growing up that they are that we're transferring our decision making for them to them making their own decisions. And so that helps them in their own life. So if we're still telling them what to do at 16 and we have 2 years and they're going to go away to college, um, who is going to be there to tell them what to do when they're not at home anymore? No one. We want them to be set up. Okay, so allowance, I see I'm looking up on the screen. So allowance, I have had parents give 10 cents per every year because that's all they can afford. Do what you can afford. It helps the child understand that, well, if the family is struggling financially, then the child needs to understand what that means and manage their own money. And from a really early age, even as young as 5, um, that when they go to the store, they know they have their own money and they can make their own decisions about that money. I have had parents who, so the recommended is about $1 per year, but do whatever works for you, of course. I have had parents who, their family value was no sugar, no candy in the house, and so, of course, make those decisions together. Have the family meeting about, okay, it's your allowance, but this is not, we don't allow this. Okay, so make those decisions together. Um, and the good thing about having children manage their own money is that you will tend to give them less money, and the money, when we don't give an allowance, we tend to give children money based on our mood, and so they're not learning anything besides learning how to manipulate us, maybe. And so we don't want that in terms of how money works. Chores, studies were done on kids when they were 3 years old, and the kids that were able to pick up after themselves at 3 years old were found that later on, when they checked in with these kids at 30, they were more successful than the ones that at 3 years old did not pick up after themselves. So have your kids start from a really early age. Don't think you're helping them by doing everything for them. From a very early age, teach them to pick up after themselves. Even if you have to sing a song together, clean up, clean up. Do what works and get them to do some of those chores. And throughout life, that the whole family is in this together. There's routines that you set up from an early age, and then it just is normal. Okay. Intermittent positive reinforcement is just an amazing way to improve behavior in children. I have had families again and again using positive feedback instead of saying what's wrong, sort of downplaying the stuff that's wrong. If kids are very upset, saying, "You look upset. What do you think you want to do about that? And who do you think you need to talk to?" Helping them to start to make their own decisions, not saving them from their problems, because then they're not learning how to solve their own problems. Intermittent positive feedback is so you can let the child know we're going to change things around here. I want to have a great relationship with you, and I'm going to notice when you're doing well, and when you're not, we can talk about it. Of course, if things get very excited, separate, calm down, and then get back together. And when you're able to talk about it, But the positive reinforcement works so well in that you don't even have to do it every time. When you see them doing the desired behavior, let them know, wow, I see you're really trying. I saw you do that. I noticed how hard you're doing, and I'm so proud of you. And guess what? When you're not around and other people notice, their friends, their teachers, or other people notice their good citizenship, that positive reinforcement, you don't have to be there. Other people will positively reinforce them. See, the reason that punishment doesn't work is you're not a school system. The entire system is not backing you at home. You're on your own. You're, sometimes one parent managing your children. You don't have a whole system behind you. And so positive reinforcement is much more effective. And even if the schools would turn to positive reinforcement, they would see tremendous positive effects in the population of those students. Um, Hopefully that can, come into the schools instead of this punishment, which just doesn't work. The thing that we teach children when we're punishing them is how to get away with it, because we can't punish them when they're in secret, or we don't see them. And so, but we can positively reinforce every once in a while when we see the good behavior. Children want attention. If we're giving them attention for the desired behavior, we're going to see more of that desired behavior. Um, so let's see. So when you're getting overwhelmed, find a therapist that you can trust. Ask for a free consultation. Find one that you really trust, that you really feel like you sync with, and that gets you. And because we don't get along with every single person in the entire planet, we're just not going to. We all have different personalities and different triggers, different life experiences. So, look for family, individual, couples therapy. A lot of times we don't even need to bring our children in. We can just learn how to use some techniques and do it ourselves as the parents. Or, if there's trauma, certainly bring your child in for trauma therapy, because they can, use techniques to help that child to process through that. Um, if they're very, very young, through play therapy. Oh, I feel like I might be running out of time. Sorry, Shalita. Okay, so the other thing, okay, so the next thing is about church. So I've talked to Shalita a little bit about, having a support. Church is a great support system, and it's about people. It's about being spiritual. It's about having God in your life, feeling supported when sometimes you don't have anything. But church doesn't teach math, and it doesn't teach science, and it doesn't teach reading, and it doesn't teach some of the things that school brings, or other areas of your life. So we do have different areas in our life, and we need to sort of address those areas in the appropriate way. So, as an example, you would not bring a child to a job interview. That's not appropriate. It's not going to get you the job, right? So in the same way, we need to separate out that there are certain things that, is this topic in this area of my life. Not that, God isn't part of it, but, we make those connections with God in a private way. Maybe would do our own meditation and prayer. But so one of the things about work and spirituality is that just as you can bring 20 people into a room and pray that a beautiful gourmet meal will appear, and you can pray all you want, but it is not going to happen, because God set it up in a way that we have to plant these the plants, and we have to collect it, and we go to the store and pick it up, and we have to wash it, and there's a lot of that goes into creating a meal. It's not something we can pray into existence. Similarly, the Bible commands us to love and forgiveness and all these things, but it does not tell us how to do it. So, we know that we need to have these healthy meals for our children. The Bible doesn't tell us how to do that, because they did it differently 3,500 years ago. They showed love differently. They did forgiveness differently. And that's what makes the Bible a living document, is because we can, in every age, use our own ways of interaction to make that end result. So the end result is that we are all in this loving planet, and we're forgiving one another, and we're getting along with one another. But how do we do that? Okay, so we use different methods and all the ways that God provides for us the information to be able to make that happen. And how do we have God in our life throughout, private meditation, prayer, thanks, just turning my phone off here, and our own private thanks in whatever situation that we recognize that there are different aspects of our life, and so we want to be appropriate in all those areas and look, be wise, and by being wise, we recognize that different things, different ways of interacting in different aspects of our life. There's learning, there's work, there's spiritual, and that we are um, varied and functional and appropriate in all those areas. Okay, so that's my spiel, and I don't know if we have time to even talk to Shalita.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we do. Thank you for that, Red. A whole lot of information compounded in such a short period of time, but we appreciate that because you went from talking from an adult perspective into a child perspective. But I'm going to ask you just a couple real quick questions.
Sure.
And what I love about you is because like you do have the kingdom background behind you. And I remember when I first met you, I didn't know that side of you. I knew the therapist side, and the counselor side, and I knew that part. But anyway, my question is, okay, so we have people that, and I'm going to use the church. We have people that go to church. That's very, some are heavily involved in church. And my question is this: but sometimes, we'll go to church, we're praising God and in prayer and doing all of these things. But then we leave church and still depressed. We'll leave church with still inner struggles. We'll leave church with still anxiety. We will leave church still having, dealing with the pain of our past. And so sometimes people will say, well, God's going to do it. He's going to heal. Yes, he's going to do that. But what can we do? Coming from, you, as far as we're coming from a therapist, what advice will you give the people that are in the kingdom, uh, as far as with how to deal with the real thing, real depression, the real thing, the real pain of the past. Yes, God will deliver and heal, but then there's another natural side to it.
Right. So, coming into the church, I mean, I feel like I'm stepping into something here because really I intended to come in and talk about the mental health end of it. And there was so much that you and I talked about in
Yeah.
preparation for doing this podcast that I made the notes and wanted to cover all those areas for you. So, um, you know, even though the reality of it is that you come into maybe getting saved, and there's trauma usually associated with that. There's usually a history that new people coming in will talk about their testimony, and there's that new excitement about everything feeling so great. But a lot of that is really being connected with others. You find all these connections and all this support with other people, and that feels wonderful to be heard, to be surrounded by people, to have a support system. And so as we grow, maybe as people grow into the church, that that you're not so special anymore. And so that, if we continue to just be involved with one another that much, if there's a way, and I don't know what that method would be, to keep those connections and that support without being judgmental of one another, acceptance, and really, whatever that way is to find that love and that forgiveness with one another. And that is so great at offsetting the depression. Of course, getting counseling is
Mhm.
always.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Red, for joining the broadcast today.
Thank
We're going to
you.
put you in the back office and we're going to bring Demetrius out because you guys, if you have any questions for Red, I mean, any questions, please take the time to ask. This is the time to get your answer that you need to. I mean, it may not be a question for you. You may want to ask a question for a friend, a sister, a mother, whomever. You just need an answer, a solution. And so at this time, I want you guys to, have those questions because we're going to put in the back room and then we're going to bring out Demetrius right now. And then we're going to continue to go forward. And once after Demetrius, we'll bring everyone back on so that we can continue to ask the questions that we need. All right. My next panelist that I'm introducing, which is a sister of mine, Demetrius Hunt, is a mother, evangelist, psalmist, songwriter, author, certified life coach, and entrepreneur. She serves on the praise team at a local church, New Life Covenant Church, where John Hanna is the pastor. She also serves in the community weekly, passing out food to those in need. Demetrius has a heart of compassion for God's people, especially the abused, and she is committed to helping others with their healing and restoration process through her own personal story and music. Demetrius is the author of Screaming from the Inside, and we're going to hear some of her testimony regarding that book on today. So I want you guys to give a warm welcome to my sister and friend Demetrius, evangelist Demetrius Hunt. Thank you, sis. Thank you so much for coming on. We are supercalifragilisticexpialidocious excited to have you a testimony in the midst of us. And so at this time, I'm just going to let you take the flow and then I'll come back and have a few questions for you. All right? All right.
Okay.
Take over.
Okay. Can you all hear me? Good afternoon, everyone. Is it afternoon or still morning? Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, my prophet sister Shalita, for having me on the show today. I'm so excited to share what God has placed on my heart to share. As she has mentioned, I am the author of a book called Screaming from the Inside, and it tells the story of how I overcame rape, molestation, sexual abuse. It also mentions a little of how I overcame domestic violence as well. And so I had a very traumatic experience as a young girl. My molestation and sexual abuse began at the age of 10 all the way to the age of 14. And at that point, I ran away from home and went to the police and just a whole lot of things transpired from that. But I'm thankful to God that today I am 47 years old and I am living to testify that I'm still here in the land of the living to share my testimony. Um, During that process, it was very traumatic. It was very traumatic. And I talk about all of that in the book. I break it all down. And my book is not about bringing anybody else down. It's about sharing how to overcome and heal through from your traumatic experiences as a child. I'm so thankful for Lady Tracy and Miss Red for speaking concerning children today, speaking on the professional side of mental health regarding children because I am a product of that, what they were talking about today. So I'm so appreciative of their sharing their perspective and insight as professionals. And so we need the professionals, but I'm going to come to you and I'm going to talk to you about the spiritual side of overcoming, the power to overcoming traumatic experiences in your life. And so I'm going to bring a scripture base, and my scripture base is Luke 10 and 19. And in this scripture, Jesus was talking to the disciples and he was getting ready to send them out. He'd already equipped them, he had already ordained them. They went through the process and he was getting ready to send them out. And he told them in Luke 10:19, he said, "Behold, I give you power to tread." And I just want to stop there. I actually want to just stop at, "Behold, I give you power." And that word power there is the Hebrew word for exousia, which means the power of choice. You have the power to choose. You have the power to choose. It means the liberty of doing as you please. He has given you the authority to choose. He's given you the power to make a decision regarding your physical and mental health. God has given us the ability and the strategy. He has endowed us with this to exercise our authority and our power. So we're going to be talking about the power to overcome. And the first step to overcoming is acknowledging. The first step to overcoming is acknowledgement. And I'm pretty much talking to adults today. Because like I said, I haven't seen a therapist. I didn't go through any counseling. All of my help literally came from the Lord, being in the Word of God, being around my church family, having that support system. But I believe that the professionals they play an important role. I'm just saying I never went through that process. God healed me through the power of forgiveness and love through His Word. And so acknowledgement is the first step. And my motto for me has always been, you cannot overcome what you will not face. You cannot overcome what you will not face. I had to face what happened to me. I had to come to terms with my pain. I had to come to terms with my traumatic experience. Um, I had I had to face it, and that's how I was able to deal with it. And that is very difficult for a lot of people to do because in order to face it, that means I have to process it. I have to sit in it. I have to acknowledge it. I have to I have to admit it. And sometimes it's hard to admit your pain. Sometimes we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to go through the process of being healed. And so it's easier to just say, hey, I'm just going to act like it didn't happen. That was me for years. I'm just going to act like it didn't happen. But I was one of the persons that Shalita was talking about who was sitting in the church hurting. Nobody even knew my story. No one knew what happened to me. No one had knew what I'd been through, but I'm sitting there and I'm hurting. I'm not talking about it. I'm dealing with it internally and I'm hurting and I'm struggling. But it wasn't until I began to talk about it in 2016 when God spoke to me and said, I want you to write your book. I want you to talk about it. I want you to deal with it so you can overcome it because it's bigger than you. And I just want to encourage somebody today to know that your story is bigger than you. You're going to help somebody else. And since then, God has been using me to help others. And so that's the first step, acknowledgement. The second step the power to overcoming is your crossroad moment. After you've acknowledged it, you sat in it, you dealt with it, you say, now, hey, okay, we're at this crossroad moment to healing. Now you really got to make a decision. A crossroad is what? It's a point in your life where you have to make an important or crucial decision. Okay, you processed it, you faced it. And you faced it, you come to terms with it. Okay, now what are you going to do? Power. What did we say power means in the beginning? The power means choice. You have the power to choose. So now you're at this crossroad in your life where, hey, I get to choose. So what can you choose? You can choose to stay a victim or you can choose to be a victor. And so you're looking at someone who had to choose whether I was going to stay a victim or whether I was going to be victorious. And how many know that was not easy? That was not an easy choice. I had to have a made up mind, and through the help of the Father, I was able to choose properly. And whether that be your choice may be professional help through someone like Lady Tracy or Miss Red. If you need that, do that. Or you may want to go the route that I went. I suggest you get whatever help that is. And so you have two options, like I said, to stay a victim or become a victor. And so that's going to cause you to do some type of work. Because at the end of the day, I, as a 47-year-old, is responsible for my own healing. Nobody else is responsible for that. As a 47-year-old, I can no longer blame my mother. I blame my mother for years for what happened to me. I blamed a whole lot of people. It was a group of people that I blamed. for years. But at some point, Demetrius had to come face to face with a decision. Demetrius, do you want to be made whole? Demetrius, do you want to stay a victim? Or do you want to be victorious? Do you want to help somebody else? Because you can help somebody else with your story. And so I came to terms with the fact that, hey, I do not want to sit here and continue to be a victim. I am an overcomer. I am a victor. God has given me the power on the inside to overcome. He's given me the power through choice. It's my responsibility to be here. So the third thing is this. Let's see. Um, healing. First, I want to say, hold on, because also that's a part of the responsibility. Is also making a decision to forgive, making a decision to forgive, and making a decision to heal, which means there's going to be a process. And healing is a process. Healing is a process, just like some of the therapists were saying today. Like the person has to go through several sessions. They have to go through a process in order to be healed or to get what they need to deal with it. And so it's a process. So I had to make a decision in order to be victorious and successful in my life. Okay, so the last thing is the power of let. The last thing is the power of let. And let is the Hebrew word that means to be, to become, or to arise. That's what let means. And in our scripture text, we said power means the power to choose, but also power means in that particular text means to give permission. So let means to give yourself permission to heal. Give yourself permission to become. Give yourself permission to be. You have the power and the authority and the choice to give yourself to give yourself permission to be, to become, and to arise to the occasion. And what do we mean by that? To arise to your best self. God created you in his image and in his likeness. When we came past through our mother's womb, we were born into a world of sin. But when we got renewed, and when we got born again and renewed in our minds, we were transformed. So I no longer have to be what I was when I came into this world. I make a decision to choose to be who God called me to be. And so choose to live today. I want to encourage someone, choose to live today. Choose to become. Yes, I could have sat back and just waddled in my abuse, in my abuse, what happened to me in my traumatic situations, or I, but what I did, I decided to overcome it by choosing to take responsibility for my own healing. So give yourself permission to arise today. Give yourself permission to become your best self today. Give yourself permission to just be, to let. You have God has given you the power. It's within you. Get the professional help if you need it, but also get that spiritual guidance, get that support system, those that love you and care for you. And I promise you, you will overcome this. God has given you the power to overcome. Thank you for having me.
Amazing. So every time I hear your testimony, every time I hear your testimony, it just blesses me all over again. It blesses me all over again. And you didn't even touch the part on, you guys, let me tell you something. You're looking at a survivor, okay, of molestation and a survivor of domestic violence, okay? And she don't look like what she been through. She doesn't look like what she been through, but that's how God does it. And so one of the things that I love that you just said is that at the age of 47 how your healing is your responsibility, and which it is. And so I have a couple questions, you guys. If you have any questions, please ask her at this time. But in the meantime, let me ask you a few questions. All right. So during this challenging time of your life, as a little girl, we going back to the little girl. As a little girl, what advice would you have given to your younger self during that time of what you went through? What advice would you have given to your younger self?
Yes, I would tell myself, my younger self, to not fear, to have the courage to believe in yourself, to know that you are. If I knew this, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. But of course, as a little girl, and when you're dealing with traumatic experiences, you at that in that moment you don't know how to deal with it. That's what I was dealing with, was tough for a 10-year-old. That's why it took 4 years to escape, because it was a process of planning and trying to figure it all out. But at some point, I got to the place of courage.
Yeah.
And so I would tell the little girl back then, you know, hey, if you could have just came to the point of courage a little sooner, you know, but there were so many things in place, there was fear there, because you got to understand, I was being threatened that if I ever told, that I was going to be killed. My mama was going to be killed. My sibling was going to be killed. And so, and then when I did tell, just to let the people know that are listening, when I did finally run away at the age of 14 and told it, I ended up in a group home in the custody of DCFS and all of that. At some point, they let me go back home, and my abuser was not supposed to be there. But when I got home, he was there. And guess what? He put a gun to my head. I was 14 years old. He put a gun to my head and said, I told you, right in front of my mother, and said, if I told you, if you ever told, I will kill you. Now, I'm at a point where I don't care anymore. Because if this is life, I don't want to live here. And I told him, shoot me. Because I don't want to, if I got to live like this, I don't want to live. And so that was a place of strength for me. And that was a place where I stood up for myself. And I didn't have to deal with that no more. That particular thing was done at that point. So I would tell that little girl, just continue to be strong and courageous, you know, and I was back then.
That's good. Okay, so another question I have for you is, what would you tell a mother? Now we're talking about a mother that's child is going through the same experience right now with her husband or boyfriend. What would you tell that mother that and she knows her child is going through it, that experience with her boyfriend or husband? What would you tell that mother?
We're talking about the experience I went through, right?
Right. So, but I'm saying, but what would you tell a mother now that child is going through? Yeah.
Mhm. It is so very important. It is so imperative that parents listen to their children, our children. I've had to have many talks with my children because of what I went through. Listen, I wasn't playing. But it's so important that parents listen. Children act out, even if they don't say anything, they act out what's going on with them internally. I began to act out. Parents must pay attention. Look and watch for the signs. No, don't be paranoid, but watch for the signs. Listen to your children. If they come to you and tell you, hey, so and so did this to me, so and so touched me in this area, so and so makes me feel uncomfortable. Because what happens when a parent does not listen to their children and dismiss them, that child is left to themselves to deal with the traumatic internal issues by themselves. How do I know? Because that was me. I was left to deal with it alone. And I didn't know what to do with it. And guess what I did? I acted it out for the rest of my life. For years, I acted it out in ways that were not healthy. And
Mhm.
so it's so important because what will happen, like me, the child will feel abandoned and
Mhm.
rejected by their own
Mhm.
parent. And
Mhm.
the child will feel like you chose this person over me.
Mhm. Mhm.
You chose
Mhm.
this person over me. You love them more than you love me. You don't care about me. So it's important that parents listen and act on it.
Mhm.
Act on it and not want to. And I'm going to talk to women, like you said, mothers.
Yes.
Oh, you got to look past your desire.
Mhm.
If it's your husband or your boyfriend, you got to, because women, if you want to keep a man,
Mhm.
you got to look past your desire because your child is over here hurting. Your
Yes.
child is over here dealing with something traumatic, and they are a child. They are helpless. They can't help themselves. And you are responsible as the
Mhm.
parent to help them get through whatever the traumatic experience is.
Yes. Yes.
Really
Yes.
hard.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so the next question, real quick, I have is, what advice would you give to victims that's quarantining with their abuser? It could be domestic violence abuser, but it could be molestation. That's afraid to leave or get out.
Whew, and see, in those situations, that has been my prayer throughout this pandemic. My heart was going out. I was praying, interceding for the abused that were quarantined with their abusers. And that is so sensitive. These people, the victims, have to actually rely on other people for help. They have to, you got to hope that somebody will hear it and tell it. You will have to hope and pray now, because there's no escape for you. There is no way for you to get out and call the police. There's no way for you to get the help that you would need. Before the pandemic, you probably had a little more leeway and space to call a friend or
Mhm.
to get out of the house. But if
Mhm.
you're in the house daily with your abuser and you're
Mhm.
constantly being abused, you
Mhm.
may not have a way of escape. And so, what I would tell a victim is this, and the listeners that are listening, because for the victim, trust me, because I've been here, they're trying to plan their escape. They don't want to be in the situation. They're trying to plan it, but you have to be so strategic. And so for the victim, the stranger, the loved one, the neighbor, the next door neighbor is their help. And so the people on the outside is their help.
Mhm.
The domestic, say if it's domestic violence, they could call the domestic violence hotline if they can, but what if they can't? Um, they need to depend on somebody else outside those
Mhm.
doors
Mhm. Mhm.
support. So
Mhm.
I'm going to say to those of you that are listening, if a if a friend or family member calls you
Mhm.
and they're in a domestic situation or a sexual abuse situation, be a confident, be a listening ear. Don't be judgmental. Don't be critical because they already know what they're dealing with. They already
Right.
know they need
Right.
help. Be a listening ear and be one that they can confide in, and so when they're ready, they can call you. And so,
Right. Right.
and for those of you that know someone, or for those that may be going through this and by chance listening, the domestic abuse hotline number is 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233. And so, what I would say to you is make a strategic plan, plan it out, and find somebody that you feel safe, somebody that you can trust that will help you get out of the situation. And like I said, the domestic violence hotline, they will help you get out, and they will
Yeah.
help you get out in a way where nobody will know, where
Yes.
nobody will know.
Yes. Okay. So my last question, and I'm going to bring all my guests on. You guys, if you have questions, please ask them. Still, you have time to like and share. But my last question for you, Kamisha, is how did what you went through, okay, as a child, how did what you went through as a child affect you in your adult years? Because a lot of times we go through things and we don't deal with it, and it affects us in our adult years. So how did it affect you in your adult years?
Yes, it affected me greatly. Um, sis, I trusted no one.
Mm,
I trusted no one. I trusted absolutely no woman, no man, no boy, no girl, no family member. I trusted no one.
mhm,
And because I always felt like somebody's going to get me, somebody's
mhm,
going to hurt me. And I didn't want to be hurt anymore. I
mhm,
didn't want to be hurt. So I didn't want to be vulnerable to people. And so
mhm.
I always had this wall up. I always had my guards up. Even if you were a part of my life, you were in my circle. It didn't matter. When I got saved and got in the church, I was still it was only so far I was going to let you come in my life. I always, even in my getting married, I still had these walls up. It affected my marriages. It affected my relationships with men and women because like I said, I didn't trust. I had been betrayed by the men in my life. I had been betrayed by women in my life. I had been abused on top of abuse on top of abuse. So I did not trust anyone.
Mhm,
It caused me to just look at everybody in a way like, they gonna get me. They trying to hurt me. They don't mean
mhm,
me any good.
mhm,
But God
mhm.
had to really deal with me and let me know that everybody is not out to get you.
Yes.
Everybody, there are some people that I'm gonna place in your life that truly love you, and I'm gonna show you. And first of all, He showed me His love, His amazing
Yes.
love. He showed me who I am in Him. He
Mhm,
began to show me that. He showed me and taught me. He took me through a whole year and a half of teaching on how to love others and forgive. He took me
yes.
through a whole process. He told me when I get done with you, he was like, you're going to love like no other. Love will never be your issue. Forgiveness will never be your issue. You're going to be able to love people with the love of God. And so once I learned how to because guess what? He commands us to love and he commands us to forgive. And so guess what? That's a choice. I had to make a choice to do those things. And so once God began to deal with me about that, that's how I was able to overcome. Yes, I still discern. I still use my discernment when I'm dealing with people, but I am open to love. I am
Mhm.
open to love, and because love uh, will take vulnerability.
Yes.
And but I do pray to God. I said, God, if you see and you know everything, you're omnipotent, you're omnipresent, you're omniscient. You see it
Mhm.
all, and you know if this person doesn't mean me any good, please remove them.
Yes.
That's my prayer.
Yes.
Please remove. Don't even let them
Yes.
come in my space. Don't even
Mm.
let them come in my space because you already know. You know your daughter, and you know. But I love people. I love people wholeheartedly. I have a passion and a compassion for God's people, especially the abused, especially
Mhm.
the abused. So I'm an overcomer today, and I'm so grateful and
Yes.
thankful.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you, Kamisha. So right now at this moment, all of my guests, my panelists are coming in. If you have any questions to ask, please ask them right now. You have just a couple more minutes to ask anything that you may want to ask. I'm very excited about this mental health edition because it's so needed. And as I've said before, it's needed for such a time as now because of what we're going through in the world. Listen, don't be afraid to get your inner healing. Don't be embarrassed to get what you need to heal you from the inside out. And because a lot of times again we're afraid of that. Ladies, do you guys have something else you want to add? Red, do you have something you want to add or say before we close out? Do you guys? I think Red has said something. Okay.
Her.
Demetrius, I just loved everything that you said. Wow. So impressed. Tracy, great information. I just really love the show. Shalita, wow, you're doing a tremendous job. Keep doing what you're doing. Oh my gosh, people need this information. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, ladies, for coming. Um, did you guys have anything to say before I close out?
Yes, thank you so much again for
I just
having
want
me,
to thank you.
all of my panelists. I enjoyed everyone. It was phenomenal, very insightful, very informative. I appreciate you all. I truly appreciate you, my prophet sister Shalita WYETT. You are
Love
such a
you.
blessing to the body of Christ and to the world at large. And I pray continual favor upon your life.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank
Amen.
you. Tracy, did you have something to say?
Amen. I just want to say, yes, ma'am. I'm still excited and I'm grateful for this platform, this opportunity. And to you, my sister, I love you to life. Thank God for what you are doing. I thank God for my other sisters, and I enjoy each of you. A lot of information, good instructions, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of your testimony. Oh my God. I just thank God for this opportunity and for everything.
Hear me?
You're on mute.
All right. There you go. Thank you all. Thank you, Facebook Live. Thank you, YouTube Live. To everyone that has tuned in, we thank you for tuning in. Let me just leave you with this, and I'm going to pray you out, and we're going to be done. But sometimes, let me just say this real quick. Sometimes the healing can be more painful than the actual wound. That's normal. Sometimes the healing can be more painful than the actual wound. But you need to go through your healing process. Get the help you need. We've shared about, given you phone numbers for domestic violence. We've given you phone numbers for abuse. We've talked about mental disorders with children and how it can go from being in your childhood into your adulthood. Get the help that you need so that you can have that inner peace and inner joy, so that you can overcome the pain of your past. And so, right now, in the name of Jesus, I want to pray with you. I want to talk to whether you are a woman or a man. I want to talk to you that are in your 50s, 60s, but you're stuck at the age of 14. You're stuck at the age of 5, whatever age that something very damaging has happened to you. I just want to pray right now over you. God, we thank you for this time of coming together. Father, I pray right now that each and every person that's watching this broadcast, that's dealing with mental disorders, mental illnesses, Father, that's dealing with depression, anxiety, oh God. Oh God, that's dealing with eating disorders, that's dealing with emotional distress. Father, in the name of Jesus, we decree and we declare healing right now from the top of their heads to the soles of their feet. Father, we decree mental, oh God, that they're healed in their mind. And I pray, God, let this mind, which is in Christ Jesus, also be in them. In the mighty name of Jesus, Father, I pray that every person that watches every panel speaker, Father, that their lives are changed and transformed by the renewing of their mind. God, I pray that you prick at their hearts, God. God, that their hearts, oh God, are begin, oh God, to be healed and delivered and set free, oh God. I speak the spirit of forgiveness in them now, in the name of Jesus, oh God, and we break every stronghold of the enemy that wants to hold them strong in their minds, in their thoughts, in their actions. Oh God, somebody on here has been stuck for a very long time. And I decree and declare that you will not be stuck in your past. You will not be stuck as the little girl. You will not be stuck as the little boy, but you shall be free and you shall be healed. You shall be made whole. You shall be delivered by the power of God. And we plead the blood of Jesus over your life. Oh God, and we just thank you now, oh God, for their healing, because healing is the children's bread. We thank you now for emotional healing, physical healing, God, mental healing, God. Oh, God, we thanking you for it now, God. And Father, we give you all the glory for this broadcast. We thank you for every panel speaker. speaker that has given out to the people so that we can be changed by the renewing of our mind. Now, God, go with us as we go throughout our day. Oh, God, be with us and be with every person that's watching right now. And I decree a fruitful life to you. I decree a prosperous day to you. I decree that the joy of the Lord is your strength, and we shall move and we shall act and we shall do and be all that God has intended and has purpose and purposed us to be in him. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for joining. We love you guys, and I'll see you next month.
Shalita Murray, spilling the tea with Shalita. Shalita Murray, spilling the tea with Shalita. Shalita Murray, spilling the tea. Yeah, Shalita Murray. Shalita Murray, spilling the tea. Yeah, Shalita Murray. Shalita Murray, spilling the tea.
Do you ever wake up in the morning feeling frustrated, trapped, and stressed? Are you ready and willing to do something about it, but you just don't know how? We're going to show you a very real solution to the problems facing many Americans today. And you have an opportunity to not only take advantage of the solution for yourself, but help others do so as well. USA Today recently reported that 76% of Americans say they experience significant stress and that money is the cause of that stress, followed by a very close second to what they do to earn it, their job. It's not surprising that we feel trapped. Much of that financial stress comes from payments looming over us like a dark cloud. Based on Federal Reserve statistics, the average household has over $7,000 of debt just on credit cards alone, and that doesn't even include cars, houses, medical bills, and everything else. The size of this tremendous financial weight often leads people to be late on a payment, miss a payment, or could possibly result in bankruptcy. This unfortunately just leads to a vicious cycle of bad credit, where currently over 43 million people have been denied their ability to buy a car, a home, or even have access to a credit card because they have bad credit. And if they haven't been denied credit, then they end up wasting tons of money paying much more in interest than people with higher credit scores. Next comes our job. According to Forbes magazine, 65% of people are currently dissatisfied with their job, saying they feel stuck and would much rather start their own business. The only thing holding them back is their fear of not knowing what to do and how to do it. How about a solution that's simple, reliable, and affordable? Enter Financial Education Services, empowering you to change your life, starting now. FES has operated successfully for over 11 years and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. By combining a very simple but necessary debt payoff system, a process to significantly increase your credit score, and other essential elements to protect your family, we've helped hundreds of thousands of people restore their confidence and hope in the future. We've also helped thousands of people earn enough additional income to get out of debt, have extra time with their families, quit their job, and in many cases, gain a whole new lifestyle. What we do is proven, and it's happening right now. FES is expanding, and we're looking for people who want to get rid of frustration, eliminate pressure, and begin the first day of the rest of their lives with a chance for hope, happiness, and the control to finally achieve the things that have been eluding you. Every single day, more people wake up without a solution, and you can fix that. Do you know someone with less than perfect credit? Do you know a professional who needs credit-worthy clients? Do you know someone bogged down with debt? Do you know someone who could use some additional income? Or maybe even someone who is simply looking for a career change? If you know anyone like this, you could immediately begin making money with the ability to drive that income to whatever level you would like, in addition to earning a benefits package that includes an Audi payment, a house payment, free annual vacations, a matching retirement plan, and so much more. This all happens by simply sharing services people desperately need with the people that need them. We'll teach you everything you need to know, and you'll gain all the skills necessary to enable your success. People generally fall into one of three categories. Number one, this doesn't impact you right now, but you may know other people that this could benefit. Number two, you want to have excellent credit and eliminate debt. If that's you, just talk to the person that sent you this video. to find out more about how to leverage these powerful solutions. Or number 3, you want to explore the services as well as the income possibilities. The next step for you is to watch our detailed corporate overview that will give you more information and answer any questions you may have. From all of us at FES, we wish you all the best.